Welcome back to All Music. This is Todd Ledbetter, and today we have 1973, my top favorite 6 albums that were released in 1973. This was a really hard one. There was so much good music. It released in 1973, and um, it was difficult. It was really hard to choose. I had to listen to everything. But I narrowed it down to my top 6, and this is what it is. I'm going to go ahead and show you. Now, if you have if you don't like what I have listed here, let me know what you think your favorites are in the comments. I'd really like to know what inspired you for that year, for 1973, if I haven't said that already. I mean, I was only 9 in 1973, so obviously I didn't hear these albums really when they were first coming out. Maybe some of the songs were on AM radio at the time that I heard. And I can think of a couple on my list that might have been played on the AM radio. You know, it was like 13, 14, 15 when I started discovering some of these other bands. So not all of them were I was listening to at the time. I didn't even get into like my own record collection until I was about 11 years old. So I was listening to my parents' records, but a lot of AM radio. So here we go. For 1973, my number 6 pick was Elton John, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. Great album. It's 17 songs, an hour and 16 minutes, double album. I mean, some classic songs in here. Funeral for a Friend, Candle in the Wind, Benny and the Jets, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, Gray Seal. Let's see what else is really good on here. The Oh yeah, Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting. I love that song. Super great album. What's nice about it is that there's a lot of piano songs in here that are kind of more mellow and stuff like that, mixed in with like Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting and things like that. There's some great songs in here. Oh, Harmony. I love Harmony. It's a cool song too. That's my number 6 for 1973, though. Just a really, really awesome album. I remember before I really heard the album, I would hear some of these songs obviously on the AM radio, but some of my older neighbors were really into Elton John at the time, and he was really, all the rage at this point. He was a big, 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 big. All right, so next we got another Steely Dan, of all things, but I mean, you just can't really deny the quality of this album. Bodhisattva, Boston Rag, great song. Showbiz Kid, I love that song. My Old School, King of the World is a fantastic song. I love it. This is a great album, and just the quality and the in the studio that they produce, the production value just makes it just such a pleasure to listen to, especially if you're listening to it on headphones. But this was 41 minutes worth of material too. It's a good length album, but not too long. That's number 5 in my top 6 of 1973. And then next, we have got Wings, Band on the Run. Of course, on AM radio, I heard some of these songs, Band on the Run, back when I was, 9 years old. Jet, love that song. Bluebird, Let It Roll, I love that song. I just love that guitar lick that comes in with. Super great album. Just love it. I love this period of Wings and what Paul McCartney was producing at the time, just 3 years after the Beatles broke up. That was my number 4. Okay, so then we get to, I had such a hard time for my top 3, and basically I went ahead and chose another Genesis album. They just keep getting better and better for a number of years. Selling England by the Pound. I love this album. This is probably one of my favorite album out of all the Genesis albums so far that I have kind of reviewed and gone over here in the 1970s. But This one's got Dancing with the Moonlit Night, such a good song, great opener. I Know What I Like, that is that's basically kind of like their first hit, that kind of got them really going in England. I Know What I Like, In Your Wardrobe, it's a beautiful song. Firth of Fifth is a classic Genesis song from this time. More Fool Me, Battle of Epping Forest. I mean, every one of these songs is basically just a classic Genesis song of this era. I can't express that enough, apparently, because I keep saying it over and over. For any hardcore fan, if you're not familiar with it, and you like to experiment with your music listening and hear things that you haven't heard before, great album. And I would even suggest you started with this album if you're going to check out some Genesis, and you want to see some of the old school Genesis stuff. This is a great album to start with. I mean, some people, I don't know why, I hear people don't like this album for some reason, but I think it's really great. After the Ordeal, the Cinema Show is another one of those just epic classics. 10 minutes and 41 seconds, as you can see, and the Isle of Plenty. It's a great album, at my number 3 pick in 1973. Now it was really hard for me to put this at number 3. It was really hard. And that's because number 2 and number 1 were just as good. So, basically I just had to tie 2 and 1, and I wanted to tie 1, 2, and 3, but so I'm still going to do 6 albums, but I'm putting number 1 and 2. I'm just doing a tie for number 1. There is no 2, unless you want to. It makes me feel better to say Genesis Selling England by the Pound is number 2. It makes me feel better. So let's just say that's 2, and then there's a tie for 1. And Houses of the Holy by Led Zeppelin, yet another Led Zeppelin album. This one is a great one as well. Just look at the list of songs there. There is not a bad song on this album. The song remains the same. What a classic album. Man, I remember my friend Ruben. Ruben, if you're listening, get another shout out. Your band 58 back in the day, you guys played this song. It was so cool. I loved it. Back in the early 80s, you guys did this song. Of course, it was 10 years old already by the time you guys were doing it, but you guys did a great job. The Rain song, what a great song. What a beautiful song. A Zeppelin classic. I'm not sure that any of these are not classics. Over the Hills and Far Away, a great song. Oh man, The Grunge is great. Dancing Days, spectacular. Jamaica. I played that song a ton of times in my bands. No Quarter. The keyboards in No Quarter, just that whole vibe is so cool. The Ocean. I played that a million times too. This is a really good album, and that's why it's tied for number 1. I just couldn't I couldn't call it number 2, even though I like the Genesis Selling England by the Pound just as much, which is my number 2. But what tied for number 1 with Led Zeppelin's Houses of the Holy is, of course, Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd, 1973. We got 10 songs. Top selling album of all time. This album was on the top 100 charts for years and years and years and years. It is such a great album. Speak to Me, Breathe in the Air, On the Run, Time, The Great Gig in the Sky. That is a fantastic song with that, the improvised sort of, not vocals, but kind of screaming, and just the passion in that whole performance in the studio. I've seen some videos where she was interviewed and just saying that she really felt bad and she could do better. She'll do it again. But that was like the first take, and the whole band was like, "No, that was great. We loved it." And you got Money, Us and Them, Any Color You Like, Brain Damage, Dane Bramage, Brain Damage is a great song. Eclipse. I mean, super great album from Pink Floyd, and that was why it was tied for number one with Led Zeppelin's Houses of the Holy. So that's my list for 1973. I mean, it was super, super hard for me to pick these albums, you know, because there was other really great albums out too. There was, you know, David Bowie had albums, the Who Quadrophenia, Stevie Wonder. There was, gosh, who else was there? There was Alice Cooper, Billion Dollar Babies. I mean, the Rolling Stones, Goathead Soup, the Allman Brothers, Brother and Sister. So many cool albums. Black Sabbath, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, Emerson, Lake and Palmer with brain salad surgery. Oh gosh, and I mean the list just keeps going on and on and on. Jackson Brown, Chicago, the Doobie Brothers, Jethro Tull. Oh man, Yes songs. I'm John Lennon's Mind Games, 1973. Joe Walsh, the smoker you get, the the drinker, the drinker, the whatever, whatever that one was called. Very cool. Todd Rundgren, oh, David Bowie. Oh, it's just a ton. There's so many that you just really I had a hard time trying to pick out what songs I was going to do. But that's my list. So number 6 is Elton John, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. I mean, just such great songs in there. Uh, Steely Dan, Countdown to Ecstasy, number 5. Then we got Wings, Band on the Run. Such a good album. It's so good. And then here's where, you know, 3, 2, and 1. I'm just going to say they all tie for 1. Genesis, Selling England by the Pound. Led Zeppelin, Houses of the Holy. And Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. I mean, if you disagree with me, then you disagree with me. But if you like one of those albums more than any of the other ones, let me know where you sit. But I just couldn't do it. You know, I had to just tie at least the top 2 and really top 3. They're all number 1 for me. Is that cheating? I don't know. It might be. But anyways, that's my 1973 top 6 picks. So hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you for 1974.